and welcome to Evolve TV, where we uncover secrets of how aftermarket workshops can improve, optimise, systemise their businesses. I'm your host, Jason O, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at strategies to help your technicians become titans. As part of the leading Evolve workshop program by Mechanic.com.au, Evolve TV helps aftermarket workshops discover how to become more connected with the marketplace, their customers, their staff, as well as other leading aftermarket workshops. Learn how to leverage digital platforms and tools as well as best business practices in order to run a more efficient and innovative automotive service and repair business. This is Evolve TV. In this episode, we consider what makes a great technician and how we, as workshop owners, can help our technicians reach their ultimate potential. To share this with us, we're joined by special guest Jeff Digance from ATG Australia. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did your career start in this industry?
I was interested pretty young in my life. I happened to build a relationship with a mechanic when I was about 11 years old and start working with him on weekends and after hours. At that stage, went into a full-time apprenticeship, government department, good training centre, good allied trades, relationships and learning. And then I happened to start my own business when I was 24.
Right.
So I've been in business over 40 years.
And is that what you're doing today?
Yes. Yes, I'm still in business. I do some part-time training as well. I've done training around Australia over the last 15 years on specific technical training to advance mechanics in their diagnostic skills. But I'm a full-time worker on the floor, hands-on, as a mechanic, day-to-day in a workshop, managing a team of mechanics at this present time.
So you've been around a lot of technicians in your workshop, as well as, you know, going around Australia with the teaching that you do. What do you think makes the good traits of a technician today?
Yes, I've thought about this a lot, and I've run into a lot of good techs over the years. They have to have that natural curiosity to how things work, I believe. They've got to, again, be good at maths because it's the logical mind on working out difficult situations, working out, analysing how things work and when things don't work properly. So they've got to have a logical mind, and it pretty goes hand to hand, have some good English skills, because we've got to communicate. The technician in the workshop must be able to communicate his findings and the repairs he's done to the management so that they can pass it on and invoice it. So they're the fundamental good skills. But really, when it gets down to tin tacks, there's no two mechanics who've got the same skills and traits, and there's ones that are going to make it as diagnosticians, and there's ones that are going to be just good technicians, service technicians. We can't put them into slots, but I always look for someone that's keen to learn, the one that asks the questions, the one that wants to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and the ones that are hungry to know more and more. They're the ones I get enthusiastic about. They're the ones that I want to put my arm around and help, because I know they're the ones that are the future for the industry, because they want to know.
The green flag comes up and you say, this is the right one.
Yes, well, they come from all over the place, but your intuition in the end tells you how to pick them pretty quick.
Being a technician, do you think this is something that people will learn or people have a gift for? And, you know, having said that, do you think there's any early signs in their career as to which direction they're going to go?
I can only go on my experience. I've been in the industry a long time, and it was my heart and soul to train people for the industry. So over my years, I've just at the moment I'm on my 40th apprentice in my lifetime. So it was bringing an apprentice on every year.
So it's fair to say you know your onions.
Yeah, I think so. There's so many different guys I've come across and how they adapt to the industry, and they all need support. The ones that really shine to me, again, as I said earlier, are the ones that are so curious. They want to know. They're always hounding you. Why are you doing this? Why? What's going on with this car? They're the ones that just shine because they're the ones with a curious mind. They're the inquiring minds. And I think in anywhere in life, if you can find someone that's interested in what you're doing, no matter what it is in life, you're willing to help them if they show interest.
If you think back to all of the apprentices you've had, there probably would be one story that you can remember from very early in that person being with you that stood out and went, this guy's going to work.
Yes. Oh, well, I've got one currently at the moment that we've had for 3 years, and he's probably the smartest IQ mechanic that I've ever had, and he's adapted very well to it. Mm. But I had one lad that came to me from a school-based program that convinced me, did some work experience, convinced me he wanted to be a mechanic. And he did work-based, and then eventually he came with his parents, and they put the pressure on me that, this guy's keen to be a mechanic. He's does okay at school, and he's happy working there. But we want some commitment from you, Jeff. They'll put the pressure on me to give some commitment to put him on in the following year. I thought about it. I said, okay, I'll make a commitment if he'll make a commitment. And I said, here's your trade school books that you're going to be doing if you do the mechanical apprentice. Was a Main and Krause at the time. And I gave it to him. And I said, this volume here, I want you, if you're really serious about this, I want you to read and answer all the questions by the end of the year, present them to me, I'll go through them, and if you achieve that, I'll guarantee you an apprenticeship.
Wow.
He did. We apprenticed him. He was green as grass when we first met him, but now he's a leading service manager in a Chrysler dealership here in Adelaide, and he's great at his job.
Far out.
But we took him from a schoolboy who really didn't know what a difference between a screwdriver and a spanner at the time.
Wow. So let's talk about the technicians today. What do you think the biggest challenges they're facing?
Biggest challenge is definitely technology. The rapid change in technology, the volume of information we got to be au fait with and be able to understand on how electronics, mechanical, hydraulics all interact with each other. So the challenge is the learning curve. How well they can learn, how fast they can learn, how quickly they can absorb the information, and what access they've got to the information. Because in this industry, like any profession we can compare us to doctors, lawyers, dentists, whatever, they shut themselves off for their life for 7 years to study, to put themselves out in the workforce. We as mechanics, we have to keep studying too. If we want to be good at what we do.
And working
at the same time. To be good at whatever you do is practice, practice, practice. So a sportsman practices, a mathematician practices, a chess player practices, a mechanic must practice. They must practice subconsciously. So they must learn, they must study, must read, they must be totally involved in gaining more information to grow. Otherwise, they're going to be there's technicians that we don't need to be the smartest techs and be able to do all the diagnostic and analyse it. There's technicians we need to do the day-to-day workplace things, and that's okay too.
Yeah. But
the industry certainly needs some top technicians in there to go in the future, because the whole industry is getting so much more technical.
It's interesting to reflect 50 years ago, the biggest technological change we had was disc brakes and electronic ignition and the acceptance of that. And now you just throw the sheet out the window with the cars and vehicles that are coming our way.
Oh yeah. It's constant for me. I mean, okay, I enjoy keeping in touch with industry changes and technology changes, so I'm fascinated by it. I love to know about it. So I'm continuously learning now. At my age, I would spend minimum 1 to 2 hours a week researching, upgrading my knowledge and skills, because it's important for me to know. Because if I'm going to be an educator, which I'm a part-time educator, I have to know what I'm talking about, and I want to be good and be able to transfer that over to the people I'm supporting. So I see it from my own experience. To be good at what you've got to do, you've got to be willing to put the effort in.
So really, the challenges that these technicians are facing is the embracing of this modern technology in a way that can be incorporated into their daily routine.
Yes. And in their after-hours routine, because they've got to prioritise. And what it's all about is prioritising what am I prepared to do in my life, what am I prepared to forego in my social life to upskill myself? Am I willing to allocate a little bit of time per week instead of watching TV or going out with my mates to improve my skills and knowledge in my trade, in my industry. That's an attitude problem.
Yeah.
And they've got to want to do it. So there's no way me as an employer or as a trainer can force that upon any mechanic, but we have to. Our job as business owners and tradesmen is to influence them that way, guide them.
So you talked about guiding these technicians moving forward, and the workshop owners that are watching this episode. What are some of the advice you can give them to support these technicians with these challenges?
Yeah, this is a whole conversation on its own. There's so much that we can do and learn to guide, because they're a key part of our business. Without good technicians under us, competent people under us, a business fails. So to me, it's important. It's an important role. We have to communicate with them. We have to be their friend. We have to be their brother. We have to be their father, and we have to be their mate, because we have to get inside their heads. And what I mean by getting inside their heads, we have to understand what excites them in life. What do they like about this job? Where do they see their future? What inspires them? What work on motor vehicles do they like doing?
Yeah,
it's no good. I think to inspire mechanics, we're going to inspire them by giving them a mundane job that they don't like doing. We have to communicate them and give them change all the time, give them challenges all the time, but give them support at the same time. So really, I look back on myself and my business, and I'm trying to analyse our business all the time, what we can do to improve, and is that building that relationship with the mechanic and communication and getting trust in them and getting confident and getting them confidence to talk with us and come to us when they've got a challenge.
It sounds like a coach talking to the sporting team, doesn't it?
I believe it's on par. There's no difference. The coach is trying to get the best out of his players on the day. We're trying to get the best out of our staff. Well, we're doing our utmost to get the best out of our mechanics on a day-to-day basis. They're so important to us. Without their survival, we can have trouble surviving.
Do you think it's important that a technician's education continues beyond trade school, beyond the apprentice years?
100%, definite. It's ongoing. As I mentioned before, I'm still studying. I'm willing to study. I don't believe they understand that. They think it all can be learned on the job. There's a small percentage gets learned on the job, but if they want to really be good at what they're going to do, as I mentioned earlier, they have to put some effort in themselves to gain more knowledge and experience. And there's many ways these days. There's not much in the TAFE systems anymore. There's no university for mechanics, which is a big hole. So we have to learn on the job. But what I really get excited about these days is the internet. If you are willing to take the time and search, we can learn about whatever we're interested in. And there's some fantastic trainers on the internet, some fantastic information, and it's free. And you're able to watch it at your leisure. You just got to have that commitment and that desire to want to be good.
There's a huge amount of resources online, and I'm like you, from a mechanical point of view, I look at it as almost having a library at your fingertips.
Wow.
And all you have to do is just type, don't you?
Certainly do. And there's so many good, and I've got a list of them here. I wrote down the ones I use over the years and who are so good, and it excites me that there's other good people out there in the world that are willing to transfer their knowledge on for free.
You've touched on something that's very interesting there, because quite often or not, businesses are very, guarded with what they do and the services they hold. But it seems that the internet is a place where you genuinely can, in a mechanical side of things, get the right advice, the right guidance, and moving forward, you can reflectively go back to those people as well.
Build relationships with them. We all need to build relationships with the other people in our industry. Any opportunity we have to make contact with them and build a relationship, because they can share knowledge with us and we can share knowledge with you. One of the things we look at Mechanic.com. I think one of the great things about Mechanic.com is there's a network of 15,000 mechanics around Australia have got all that knowledge that they're willing to share. And if you're part of that network, all you've got to do is ask, and someone has done that job. Someone's willing to, they've been through the pain. There's a story about one of my apprentices was talking to me the other day. He said, Jeff, I remember saying to you a few years ago, He said, you responded pretty negatively about it. And he said, oh, you've got to learn by your mistakes. And he said to me, yeah, I remember what you took. You stopped me at the time and you said, no way. I said, that's 100% wrong. You've got to change your mindset. And I remember saying this vividly now. And I said to him, no, a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. Mm. So what you need to do is research and keep in contact with people that have been there and done it and learned the right way, so you don't need to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's the way you learn, and I think we can learn from each other, and the world is opened up now where people are willing to share information. This is a very complex industry. We've all had challenges. We're all willing to share our challenges so that other people can enjoy going to work. They can enjoy their job better. That takes away the frustration. And again, I'll brag about Mechanic.com. It's a great asset to any individual mechanic to be able to gain knowledge.
More often than not, with technician training, the workshops will actually cover the cost. And some of the workshops are a little bit reluctant because they don't want to train technicians who are maybe going to leave at some stage and take that knowledge away. What advice would you have for those technicians that were a little bit hesitant? And the workshops that were hesitant?
Make the investment. Make the investment in your people. Whether they leave or go, you got to have you want your technicians to be the best and be the most productive for you when they're at your workshop. So you got to make an investment in those people to make them good so they can be a benefit to you. They've got a free life. We don't own them. They've got a willingness to move on in their life wherever they want to go. So even if when they leave you can walk away, well, see, I helped them. I helped them to get to where they are. I took a good part in their life of creating the technician that he's moved on. He's got opportunities elsewhere. So it's something to be proud of and not look at the negative side of some. I think less and less people are thinking that I'm not going to train them because it's going to cost me money. And if once they get good, they're going to leave me. I've heard that before, but I think that's totally wrong, a totally wrong attitude. We got to do everything we can to inspire them and make them a better technician. And maybe they'll look at you and say, well, you've looked after me, so I'm going to look after you, and I'm going to hang around for a long time.
There does seem to be a lot more loyalty in the workplace in the automotive industry these days with, equipment and facilities and, even accommodating work hours and family life and so forth. So with what you're saying, workshops really need to have a think about their attitude in order to retain that staff.
I think that's what it stems from the management of any business. Every good business needs a good leader or a team of leaders to run it. Otherwise, they're going to fail. So it's so important to be willing to communicate, as I talk to people, with your staff to know what makes them tick, what you can do to help them, and give them all the support you can. I don't know whether I totally answered your question there, but
I think you've gotten pretty close. A lot of businesses and workshops now are focusing on having a couple of technicians solely for diagnostic style work and then having technicians who are responsible for the parts replacement side of things. What are your thoughts on that?
Depending on the size of the business and how many employees are on the floor, I think it's inevitable. Not all technicians have become diagnostic experts. They're unique. They're a unique percentage. Maybe 20% of the technicians I've come across are really going to be the gurus, the go-to people. Of course, if you've got one of those, you're going to put him on the jobs he's most efficient at and keep your other technicians who have got lesser skills to be on the jobs they're most efficient at. It's a balancing act. We all want to lift the standard of all those technicians, but some learn slower and some learn faster. So we tend to put our arms around the ones that can learn faster and do that job more efficiently and so on. So I think it's inevitable in any workplace. It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act between the jobs that come through the workshop, the familiarity of the jobs, the experience of the technician, and the actual information that the owner of the business or the management of the business can provide them with the information to support them.
Yeah.
So it's a juggling act, and it's all relevant to the individual business on what access to information they got and what the skill levels are their technicians are. But I do think in most businesses, and in mine, you'll find there's a couple that excel in that area, so you slot them into that area.
If we talk about the part replacement technicians for one moment here, move past the diagnostic technicians, the part replacement technicians that work efficiently with very little error, really form the backbone of workshops, don't they, with their productivity?
Oh wow! I mean, it's all about productivity in any mechanical repair workshop. Is how many hours you can sell out of that technician per day. So it makes sense to keep that mechanic on the job he's competent at, because his efficiency is going to be up and be more productive. But again, it's a balancing act, because we don't want to bore that mechanic away from the job and give him the same mundane job day in, day out, where in the end he's going to lose interest and move on. So we've got to take an interest in him. It is a balancing act continuously, and I don't care who the business owner is and what mix of workers they've got within their business. It's always going to be an ongoing communication, balancing act, keeping them all at a growing state of their knowledge, supporting them and giving them all the facilities and tools to do their job well. But it's a juggle between who's the best at the job at the time on the day.
So let's talk about all of the technicians, diagnostic and part fitters, and everybody in the entire team together. How important is to keep that team relationship going?
Critical. It's critical for a healthy work environment. It's critical that they all get along and support each other, because they're all got their value. No matter what part. We've got a full-time lad that's a cleaner in our workshop. We value him just as much as the smartest technician there, because it's a team effort. To have a good work environment and where everybody can come to work and it's a clean workshop, we need a cleaner. So we can't value him any less or any more, but he's an important part of that whole cog to keep that wheel turning smoothly. We need every player to get along, communicate with each other, support each other, guide each other, and help each other. And it's a culture you have to develop in a business. It's a culture, and the only way I believe you can do that is to be constantly communicating with your staff and promoting group conversations within your staff. Once a week, get together for half an hour and discuss the business and discuss what's happening in their world and discuss their challenges amongst their peers. So everybody understands and appreciates each other. That is the ideal workplace where you've got things working like clockwork in the ideal world.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about fostering, the team camaraderie and, the strength in numbers side of things. What's the best example you've seen of a workshop fostering that teamwork mentality?
I can't say from outside, because I haven't spent a lot of time on the floor analysing other workshops. I can only look on my own experiences in my own workshop, and we've had some highs and lows in my life. I've employed a lot of mechanics over the years, in the last 40 odd years, and some of them just are not people, personable people.
Those people
persons. They're not all that.
They find solace with a tool in the hand, under the bonnet, working in that environment.
Yes, and some aren't good communicators. They haven't got confidence to talk to each other. They think if they don't know how to do a job, they lose respect from their peers. It's not that way, though.
Yeah.
If someone asks for help in your life, and I can say from my, if anyone, I don't care who they are, if they willingly and honestly ask me for help, I'm going to jump in and help. And I think most people in this world are the same.
Yeah.
We want to help the person as much as we can. That's one of the great satisfying things in life, as far as I'm concerned, is being able to help people when you choose to.
And in an team environment, being able to help your teammate on the workshop floor or management helping, this is what's going to get it going?
For sure. And respect for each other. So it's got to come from the top. So it's got to be spruiked from the top. And when you employ someone, you've got to guide them and say, well, to fit into our team, you've got to respect everybody in this team. Between the people that order the parts, and the people on the phones, the people that do the invoicing, to every part's a team player. Everyone's a team player. They have to be a team player. So it comes from the top. It can only come from the top. The dog wags his tail. The tail can't wag the dog. So, I mean, we can't have the employees run the business. We need the leaders at the top to guide our employees, the mechanics, on how to get along with each other and how important it is for that business to survive.
When it comes to the workshop owners taking responsibility for their teams, how do you think they can keep the technicians engaged in their careers? and happy about their careers?
This is probably the most difficult question you've asked me so far, because there's no one hard and fast rule. And because I've been a business owner for so long and employed so many people, I'm always looking for better ways to keep the team spirit up in my workshop, and better ways of keeping everybody to get along with each other. I think the key fundamental is the leader, the business owner, the business manager, the leader in that workshop has to take time out to take once a fortnight, once a month, sit down with each individual mechanic for 10 minutes, 15 minutes in an official but non-condescending environment, if I can use the right word. But to have a private conversation on where they're going, how they fit, what are they comfortable with, is there any challenges, what can I do to help you to make your day better and enjoy coming to work every day more so.
Jeff, there was an interesting conversation in episode 1 of Evolve TV where the word network came up quite a lot. And what you're describing is the owners tapping into the network of their business within their business and understanding what's going on.
You've got it. You put it in the right words. It's just, it is, because it is an internal network, and every part of it, every part of that, those cogs have got to mesh to make the workflow flow, to make the business flow, to get those vehicles in that workshop, booked in from the front office through that workshop, repaired and delivered back to those happy customers at the end of the day. And it takes teamwork. It takes a lot of coordinating from every person involved in it. So, yes, communication is king, I believe.
Okay, so I do have an interesting question, because when it comes to remuneration for top technicians looking for jobs, we know it's not the most important thing, but it is important. How do workshops afford to pay for these technicians and get the good ones?
Well, again, that's a challenging statement, but I think I've worked it out within our own business. And because I've been around Australia over the years, I see other businesses that have moved in and doing the same thing as what we do in our business. And what we do in our business, we create targets for our technicians. So we say that, and we look at their hours they produce per day, their available hours and the hours they produce, so we give them a productivity rating. So they're there for 8 hours a day. We're paying, and they cost us, whether they're standing around twiddling their thumbs or they're actually working, they still cost us. We have to pay them for 8 hours. So if they produce us eight sold hours per day, we classify that as 100% productivity. So we can sell 8 of their hours. If they sold half of that, it's 50% productivity. So they sold 4 hours. Now 4 hours is is not really enough to support a mechanic. It would just keep them, they're hardly worth having if they can only produce 4 hours a day. So what we want in industry, an ideal goal in industry, is 80% productivity in their day. So we like to pay mechanics well, but I've been through it in the past where to give mechanics to incentivize them to up their productivity, offer them more money as a weekly wage. It didn't work real well, because really there was no incentive there. They got paid extra money straight away, but if they didn't feel like it or they had a lazy day, so what? Didn't affect them. Didn't affect them at all, you're right. So what we've introduced many, many years ago is a productivity bonus. So once they reach 80% productivity, we give them a fixed bonus of a number there, and a good significant number. And then when they reach 90% productivity per day, we give them another bonus. Now, then we're looking at per day, and then we add it up at the end of the week. And we measure at the end of the week, so their productivity over the week for their, 40 hours a week, and they produce 35 hours for us, they've already gone over 80% productivity. So they're going to get a minimum from in our workshop, a $100 bonus.
Right. If
they reach 90% productivity, they're going to get another $100. If they reach 100% productivity, they're going to get an extra $200.
Right.
Because you know why? They've worked bloody hard for us, and they've produced, and they've earned good money for us.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we want to share it to give them some motivation? So consequently, once they reach that 80% productivity, their costs are fixed. If they produce more, it hasn't cost you any more to produce that. So why wouldn't you incentivize them?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you give them motivation? If you get them all on the same wages, the same job, To do the same thing, you've got a fast mechanic, you've got a medium mechanic, and you've got a slow mechanic. After a while, that fast mechanic does 3 jobs in a day, the medium mechanic does 2 jobs in a day, and the slow mechanic does 1 job in a day. Overall, what's going to happen? Is that slow one going to speed up to the rate of the fast one? Or is that fast one going to slow down to the medium or slow one? Because I think, well, no good me working any harder. I don't get any rewarded for it. He gets the same money as me, and he's slow as a wet whistle.
And the team starts to suffer.
The team team spirit drops off. So we need something to give them that person that comes to who's motivated and is efficient and hard worker. I want to reward him from day dot. And he's individual to the other guy. It doesn't affect him. His pay is irrelevant. We don't. They all brag about their bonuses to each other, which motivates each other. So we keep it an open book, but it's reward for effort.
Yeah.
I believe everybody in this world needs reward for effort. We all need a pat on the back, even a thank you, a hug, or saying, well done, that was a tricky job and you sorted it out, or you did it in good time, is so inspiring for the technicians.
Yeah.
It's all about communication. So, but yes, we all like to be rewarded, and financially rewarded is a big important part, even though it's not the ultimate.
Okay, so let's go the other way for a second. You're a workshop owner and you've got a technician who isn't performing to your standards and isn't enthusiastic about the career. What's your approach going to be?
Definitely going to be concerned. Again, I'd have to sit down and analyse what my thoughts are about that technician, because have we chosen the wrong person that's not suited to that industry? That's a fundamental thing that happens a lot. They're not really suited to the industry, and you've put a lot of years in training them over an apprenticeship time. Maybe some of them we've got to stop and say, well, analyse them. Do you really want to go on with this job? Is this really your goal? Are you 100% committed to being a quality mechanic? Quality mechanic, not just a mechanic. And you need to get honesty out of them, because really you've got to sit them down and communicate with them. Find out where their head's at. Do they really want to be there? Is it the environment they're in? Is it because they're not happy with the workshop you're in, or they're not motivated because of the workshop you're in, or they think that things are better on the other side of the world, that the other man's grass is always greener?
Yeah.
We have to communicate with them. We have to understand what motivates them. We have to understand what drags them down, and we have to spend a little bit of time and energy into that person to find out where their head's at, to see if we can help them or maybe not help them. Unfortunately, not everyone we take on as an apprentice or comes into the industry are going to stay in it forever. Some are suited, some are amazing, and some are just cruisers. But again, I think I mentioned that word balancing act. Sometimes we have to move them on.
And sometimes it's your job to look after their best interest.
Our responsibility as an employer is the core occupational health and well-being. We've got to make sure that they're in a happy headspace when they're working for us as well. And we're never going to know unless we really sit them down and communicate with them on a regular basis.
Have you ever had a technician who's left your workshop, realised it's not the right industry for them, and then seen you many years later and come up and commented to you about moving away?
Over and over. Over and over. I look back for the group of mechanics that I went through during my apprenticeship, my first, second, third, 4 years. There was 3 groups went through together, and we get to know each other because we interact over those years, and some of them I've stayed pretty close with them. And who went through the trade school I went through at that time, the same year level as me, and we went through trade school together, there was 46 apprentices. Of those 46 apprentices that started 45 years ago, there's 3 still in it that I know of.
Wow.
On the tools.
On the tools.
On the tools.
Right.
Right? And 2 of them are business owners, 3 besides me that I know of, and 2 of them are business owners. A lot of them are still in the industry, and they're in the allied parts of the industry, so we haven't lost them out the industry. They've used their asset and knowledge to go into parts entrepreneurs, into sales, into whatever. So that's what life's all about. I don't think I've come across many ex-employees or ex-apprentices that have had any regrets in doing their apprenticeship, wherever they've moved on to. And I look back and I reflect on it, it's because I think I put a lot of effort into them. I put my arm around every one of them, and I did my utmost to support them along the way. And because I've always been on the floor with them and working alongside of them and not being remote from them, I've been able to relate to them pretty well over the years. But I work bloody hard at it.
Just a side adjunct to that question. I had some surgery recently on my hand in the RA, and a guy that I used to work with who was a service advisor, when I was a service advisor, he kind of got out and said, look, it's not for me. And I bumped into him at the RA, and he was booking people in at the RA.
Wow.
And
So
he
he's a service advisor still.
He was still a service advisor.
Using the same skills.
But he was a human service advisor.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to him saying, I remember when you left. And he said, look, I left, I bumped around. But he goes, but I love this. I've been doing this. For 20 years, he'd been in the hospital system, bringing people in, filling the paperwork out, making sure they got to the right place.
Managing the flow.
And it came from that understanding of thinking, look, he just loved cars, like most of us love cars, but it led him there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a nobility in the automotive industry.
For sure. I mean, and the foundation of being an apprentice leads to many good directions in the industry. And you know what I say about a mechanic has got the ability to fix anything if they really want to.
Because they have that noble intention of taking something that needs to be repaired to fix it, so that wrong to right.
Yes.
It's a very fundamental thing. And the fact that it's for somebody else, or the fact that they're booking it in and looking after that lady with that hire car, they want to do it.
Yes.
They want to do it.
And they know the important part of role they play in it too. But once they're at that level, the organiser is a totally important part in every industry.
He did put me down for a grease and lube change at the hospital as well, but that's another thing.
Enjoy it?
No. All right, so Jeff, I want to know a little bit more about the resources that maybe you would recommend. Have you got a list of somebody you might recommend?
I've got a list of there's some great people around the world.
Yeah.
There's some great people that are some great mechanics, great minds that want to share their knowledge. And I've got a list of them today. I'll just grab
your list. Grab your list. I like lists. I
I'll just go, I only scribble them down.
You have got a list.
Yes.
Go for it.
And I've written it down this is for the people who have the willingness to do training and to study.
Okay.
Where to start, where to go to. And that's what I headline. People who are willing, right? Diagnostic Network is number one.
Right.
Is one that I think is fantastic.
These are websites they can go to.
Yeah, this one's it's a subscription membership. You have to donate to it, but it is fantastic. There's no two ways about it. To help the mechanic in every respect, if they want to be able to learn how to diagnose cars better and analyse electronics, circuitry, computers, program, every aspect of it.
Wow, okay.
Another one is Auto Nerds. Great for oscilloscope training. One of the leaders in oscilloscope training in the world. I've been to their company in America. I spent days there.
That is an art form.
Yes.
Reading oscilloscopes.
Definitely, yes. So we all need help in that, but it's such an important part. TAT, Australian company, TAT, the automotive technician, a wonderful setup, doing great things to help the technician. CTI Research and Development Centre,
Okay.
CTI. They are a training organisation in the States. Google them on YouTube. Fantastic training. Brandon Steckler. He's a champion of technical training in America. John Thornton, another one from Automotive Seminars. Bernie Thompson from ATS. And Pico from Pico Diagnostics, from Pico Technology. Their website is fantastic. There's so much training there. John Kelly from Weber State University in America. Just go into YouTube. He is such a great trainer. He's in the basics and fundamentals on how internal transmissions work, on how the mechanical and electrical side all puts together. He breaks it down and makes it does it so well. So all these people here, I hope, and there's more, but at the moment they're all the ones I could jot down today.
Well, link this, Jeff, back to ATG and what you do and how you're involved.
ATG is my training arm, is where I've researched the world and gathered information where I want to upskill those keen technicians, the ones that want to be good. So I've devoted my time for advanced diagnostic training. So what I mean by advanced diagnostic training is advanced diagnostic use of the oscilloscope, and advanced diagnostic use of that scan tool. So advanced drivability diagnostic. So it's all about upskilling a competent mechanic and taking them to another level to help them be the best they can be.
Yeah.
It's not for the average mechanic. You've got to want to know. You've got to want to learn. You've got to want to be good to even be worthwhile coming to ATG training. I want the elites. I want the ones that are hungry to know, and that's the way I'm willing to put my energy into them with my ATG training, which I think we've got the some of the best training manuals available in the world today.
Okay, and moving forward, to learn more, our workshop and business owners can find out more at Mechanic.com.au.
All the dates on when the training will be going to be run again. It's all going to be on Mechanic.com. So just keep in touch with it. Get on Mechanic.com and stay in touch on the training dates and what training will be run around Australia will be on
Mechanic.com.au.
Mechanic.com.
Excellent to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us, Sunset.
Cheers, you're welcome.
For everyone watching, we hope you've got a lot of value out of this episode of Evolve TV. If you have any comments or questions about today's episode, head to the Evolve Hub community to continue the conversation. We look forward to seeing you on another episode of Evolve TV.